W203.
It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
Hello and welcome back to another video. And a Merry Christmas to you guys. I hope you guys are spending some good quality time with family and friends. Almost exactly 1 year ago, I got the best present any man could ever ask for. And that is this GT35 Turbo right here. My present this year, however, did not turn out that great. So as you guys saw in the previous video, I messed up royally when I painted my new hood. A couple of things on that. Number one being, thank you guys so much for all the tips and tricks and ways to maybe fix this and kind of what went wrong. I really do appreciate your comments. And then I will be fixing it, but for now we do have some more pressing matters. Oh, and before it only latched on the one side, but now I just moved this side up a bit and now we have it latching on both sides and it still opens from the inside. Perfect. Let's just do this and this, and then we don't have to look at it. Also in the previous video you saw that we got started on tuning the car but ran into some issues very soon. Number one being very inconsistent AFR readings. So the fuel air mixture in the engine wasn't staying consistent with the adjustments we were making on the ECU. Now that can be a couple of things: dirty injectors, fuel pressure, stuff like that. As you know by now, I do tend to mess up sometimes. So I found the issue and it's pretty simple. In the passenger footwell where I mounted the ECU, I just have a little light over here. But as you can see over there, so that's the vacuum or the boost line for the ECU's map sensor to tell it what to do and what's happening in the engine. So the PowerMods ECU is a very simple ECU. It uses the map sensor that's built into it with that line going to it to know exactly how much fuel to give or not to give. So that was a pretty stupid mistake, but an easy fix at least. And then another thing, while tuning the car, we soon had a ticking noise again. Now I was fully aware of that and I should have changed the oil even before thinking of tuning the car. I got the new oil, so I'm going to be using the W203. I think it's a bit thicker than I had in the car. And then the car also does have an oil leak. I built it, so I got some extra. So I have 10 liters of oil. That should be enough. And then I also got a new oil filter for the car. I did see the comment of someone recommending what type of filter I need to use, but unfortunately I couldn't get any of them. So we're just gonna go with the Marley. Another thing I would like to mention about that is before I move the engine down and back so that we don't have to have the hole in the hood anymore, you couldn't replace the oil filter. There just wasn't enough room for that. So that's why back a while ago I cut into the firewall to make some space over there for if the engine is in the car, you can still remove and replace the oil filter. Removing an oil filter on a car should be pretty easy and should take less than a minute to do, but because everything on this thing is made out of unobtainium, it takes about 20 minutes because it's really hard to reach back there and get it out, but at least it is possible to do when the engine is in the car. And then last night I went down there, drained the oil, and I also started looking for that oil leak. Still not exactly sure where the oil leak is coming from. It seems like it might be the rear main seal, but I do have a new one in there. So yeah, not so sure about that. And then I also found a loose bolt on the oil pan. One of the 50,000 bolts on the oil pan was also loose, so I just got that tightened up. But I'm very glad I went down there last night because I found that I never tightened up the wastegate. So that might also be a contributing factor to the tuning issues we had. I really do mess up a lot, but anyway, I got that tightened back up, so we should be good to go. Now I can get the new oil in there, get the oil filter in there, and then fix the little vacuum line on the ECU, and I guess we'll be ready to continue with the tuning.
Push forward through the tough times, 'cause time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. 'Cause anything worth doing is a tough 'Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gonna feed them. If you're coming for me.
Alright, so last night I just got a new piece of silicone hose for the ECU reference, going straight into the ECU without any turns, to eliminate the possibility of it pinching again. Got the oil filter back in there, as well as a total of 6 liters of oil, because if you look at the old oil pan, this one is much bigger than the one I had to build for the car for everything to fit. So the M104 engine takes 7.5 liters in its normal form, but because my oil pan is a bit smaller, I think the 6 liters is okay. I checked the dipstick and it's over the fill line. That's why I have the oil pressure gauge there to just check over things, and if anything goes wrong, I'll know about it. And with that, we should be ready to start tuning or continue tuning the car again. I did have a talk with Lance yesterday, but unfortunately because of the festive season, he's out of town, so we won't be able to tune the car this week. Even though we have a new ECU and I moved a couple of things around, the setup is still the same like it was, and it worked perfect. So what I want to do is take it on a small test drive just to make sure about the oil and we don't have the ticking noise anymore. But before that, I do also want to give it a wipe on the inside. It's very dusty. It's been a couple of months. There's a lot of parts laying in the car that I want to get out, give it a quick clean. Want to get the fire extinguisher back in here, that's very important. And then I also have the laptop over here for the first start up of today, because the car does start up, but it starts up and then dies, and then you have to start it up again. So I want to see if I can maybe make some few adjustments to get that a bit better. But it does start better than ever before, so I'm really happy about that. So let's give it a try and see what we can do. I have the ECU program open over here. Let's switch it on. So I can already see there's something not looking right. It has to go up like that, like a graph, evenly. So let's start it up and see what happens. We'll see where this bar moves, and then when the car dies, I'll see where it's at and make a few adjustments. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna give it a try and might learn something. Yeah, so that's what it does. Try it again. It starts up so easily, but yeah, we'll still sort that out. At least it does start, so let's move it outside and give it a quick clean on the inside. Okay, let's go for a little test drive. Okay. Made a few adjustments. That sounds better. Here we go. So I'm just gonna go get some fuel and then come right back. I don't really want to drive the car too much until we get a tune, because it's really hard not to just go fast. And if I do that, it's gonna break. Fans just kicked on perfect. RPM, we are good. That's just before boost. The boost kicks in at about 3,000 RPM. So as long as we don't go there, it should be fine. Just your average C180 getting some fuel. Alright, so I would call that a successful test drive. We don't have the ticking anymore, so that's sorted out. We have the wastegate like it should be and all tightened up. We should be ready to continue tuning. But like I said, unfortunately Lance is away for the Christmas time, so that's just gonna have to wait until next week. But for now, let's quickly test that button I put on the clutch for the launch control. It's set at 3,100 RPM. Let's see. Alright, so that works, and the RPM limiter is set at 5,500. I really don't need to be doing any of that, but yeah, we need to get it tuned. Hopefully in the next video we can do that, but for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.